Hey guys, welcome to the Sibling Trap podcast. I'm your host, Barry. This is my beautiful and wonderful host, Katrina or Katie. It's Thanksgiving. We're so thankful to be here. We both have some very, very busy schedules, and we definitely have to find the time sometimes to get these done. And we're happy to do it on such a wonderful day. I mean, we're blessed to be here. And well, it's just going to tie right into our podcast today. We're going to talk about what we're thankful for, and we're also going to talk about creating boundaries during like holiday times like this, and what all that means to each of us. So
Before we get started, so I
how are
actually
you?
posted this.
Yeah.
I posted this. I'm well, by the way. I am well-ish. Well-ish. How are you today?
I'm well-ish. Haven't done my run for today, and unfortunately it's raining, but I'm gonna go try to beat my feet into the pavement, and hopefully it doesn't rain too hard on me, but we'll see.
It's a good segue. So I think it was last week in my Instagram stories, I had shared about recording the podcast and how we just make it happen, even if it's at 6 o'clock at night and on a Sunday with my kids around being so fucking loud. Oh my God, I cannot. But I think at the end of the
They
day,
want to
it's
be
like
involved too. It's okay.
well, they're like the supporting extras that are like in the background, like making all the racket and distracting you. And like, anyway, it's
You
fine.
should make
Yeah.
them hold the microphone in the back or something.
They'd start whacking each other with it and it'd be a
Oh
whole
yeah.
thing. So, okay. So, like, just making the effort to, like, if there's something that you want to do in your life and stop wasting time and stop making excuses around it. Because at the end of the day, it's like we self sabotage so many good things when it's like, just stop the fucking excuses. Like, if you want to make something happen, how can you show up in your day every day and make a little bit of progress on that? And that means doing it in my car or doing it at 6 o'clock at night on a Sunday. How do you
Right.
feel about that topic?
I'm the same way. I just, I have this huge, training plan schedule, and I'm constantly having to adjust my runs, like run in the evening, run in the morning, run whenever it's not raining. And I feel like the podcast is the same way, because we still want to reach our listeners. People are listening. People are giving us great feedback. And they're dying to hear an episode every week, and we just have to do what we got to do, and that's how I look at it. And the funny part about it is that like I have a great space to do everything, like to record and everything. I just It's really about the mental space, creating for the podcast. And sometimes I don't want to talk about the hard truths or the really deep and sappy stuff, and
Yeah.
I've shared a lot of vulnerability with our listeners and our people. And in all honesty, if you had asked me 6 months ago, I would have been like, yeah, maybe in a little bit, or maybe in another day when I'm feeling a little bit better. So really, it's honestly about the feel space for me,
Mm-hmm.
and not really about the physical reality, but about the emotional reality of where I am. And there's people out there that are like, oh, well, he's unhappy, and I'm like, you're listening to the podcast, you think I'm unhappy because I talk about crying, and I've been talking about feeling vulnerable, and I've talked about a lot of very deep emotional things, and it just, the proof is in the pudding. I hate that saying, but it's the truth. Like, I am able to speak about these things because I am happy. I'm happy to share my experiences because I'm hoping that it'll reach somebody and it'll help them feel better about feeling that way, and help them understand that it is okay. It's okay to be upset. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be stuck in relationships and feel like you're trapped, and to take things very, very slowly with a new partner and not get love bombed, and to identify all these key factors that before I used to ignore all the time. And that's really what it's about for me.
I love you.
Growth. It's all about the growth. I love you too.
No, it's spot on. And a lot of times, like, if people feel like they want to do something in life, but they're like, well, I don't have the motivation to get started on my own. The one thing that I know people hire me or get into my memberships or anything like that, it's because of the accountability. Like, if you were, on your own to do the podcast, how long would you wait to do
I
it?
mean, that's a good aspect. I have a big tendency of, I wouldn't say procrastinating, but I feel like, oh, well, it's just not the right time. And I would
Neglecting
wait
it.
for the right time, and it would turn into procrastination. And in the last 7 months or so, procrastination hasn't been a thing for me because I've maintained discipline, and being disciplined, like people get discipline confused with, motivation. And they're like,
Mm,
oh, well, I'm not motivated today to go to the gym. And it's like, yo, you have to be disciplined. You have to tell yourself, I'm going no matter how I feel. I'm going no matter what. I'm going, whether it's raining outside or it's cold. And it's really just, it goes right into discipline. So, and on honesty, if I was doing this alone, I would pick times and I would try to meet those deadlines. I mean, maybe now that I've grown a lot in the last, year, I wouldn't miss the deadlines, but at the same time, there's always that chance that if you don't have somebody to hold yourself accountable, you would just say, "Oh, okay, I could do it tomorrow," and
yeah.
then it'll be, "Oh, well, I'll do it the next day," and then it's like, "Oh, well, I didn't get one done this week," and then your followers are going to be like, "Okay, well, we didn't get to hear an episode this week," and then they start falling off. So
Hmm.
really, honestly, I think it's both of us just keeping each other disciplined,
Yeah.
and
And
holding each other accountable to our people.
we let ourselves down all the time. But when there's other people that are counting on us to show up, we're less likely to fumble. So
It's true.
accountability is everything. And, whether it's like you want to start working out or you want to start getting a great ass, you start building accountability groups where you're like, hey, did I do my squats today? Shit, I didn't. But then we check in and we're like, okay, go
Yeah.
do your donkey kick. There's so many
That
ways to find accountability online or, within your friend group, just saying, I want to make this happen. Who can help me? Who has the space in their life to just check in
it's
on me and like make sure.
it's the support. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Support is everything. And it's really funny, because here I don't have a lot of support when it comes to my running goals. It's just me. I mean, my old gym owner, Chris, I mean, he's been very supportive. But it's like, messaging me through Instagram or seeing his stories, seeing him out there, slaying away at the pavement. My other support is Scott. Scott's out in California and he's running every day. And we have Whoop, which is like it's kind of like Strava, where it's like a workout app that tracks like your activities and stuff. And we're in like a group where we can see each other's activities, and he'll call me out. He'll be like, "Hey, I didn't see you run today." Like I'm out there slaying it, but you're not. And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm running when I get off of work," or "Oh, I couldn't today because of, it is raining and it's cold and I don't want to get sick, but we gotta hold each other accountable, and your support group is definitely the best way to achieve that. If you don't have that support group, like you said, it just gives you that opportunity to fumble so much easier because you don't have people holding you accountable. And that those are the real friends, the people that are going to tell you when you're fucked up, the people that
Yeah.
are going to tell you, hey, you're a mess, or hey, you need to do this because A, you asked me to keep you accountable, and B, I want the best for you. And that's it. People want the best for you. You're going to know who those people are because they're going to tell you the hard truths, and they're not going to sugarcoat shit. They're not going to tell you that you still look great and you still got a great ass even though you don't work out and do your squats. I mean, I'm a firm believer in having a great ass. I definitely want a great ass. And that's the truth,
Yeah.
and people are going to lie to you. The people that aren't your real friends, that aren't your true friends, they're going to tell you what you want to hear. They're not going to tell you what you need to hear. They're going to tell you what you want to hear. So
Okay. So moving into what we're grateful for. I actually have something that I wrote down that I think is an interesting perspective that I don't think you and I have touched on before. And it was based on an interview where Andy Cohen, nope, that's not right. What there's Anderson Cooper was interviewing Stephen Colbert, and he was like talking about how he's grateful for the things that didn't happen in his life, whether it's like not having a dad around, not having a mom around, like learning to be grateful for those types of things, because then you wouldn't have leaned on the support. You wouldn't have become the person you are today if it had been different. Do you
wow.
feel like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that I mean, the people in your life are put there for a reason.
Mhm.
And I feel like without those specific moments in time or those specific people, you wouldn't be who you are today. and through your experiences. And the same thing for not having people. I mean, if you think about it, like if I had some rich benefactor in my life and had all this fucking money and was always like spoiling me rotten, I'd be a fucking completely different person. You know, I wouldn't
Yeah.
understand what hard work and true value in hard work really means. You know, I'd be like, oh, well, I'll just go to the bank and pull out $1,000 and go buy everything that I want. You know what I mean? And sometimes you have to be thankful for the struggle. You do, because struggle makes us better. You know, back to what I say all the time, the bigger the struggle, the bigger the growth. And sometimes, you have to struggle on your own for yourself to grow into the person that you need to be to achieve, whatever it is that you're trying to achieve, or just to get yourself out of that struggle. So yeah, I think
Um,
that's very bold, very important.
so 1 year ago, I was in the probation period of trying to make my marriage work, and I never thought at the moment that I would ever feel grateful for a divorce, but like god damn, I think it's the best gift someone has ever given me, and that's such a weird thing to say. I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's eye opening, isn't it?
It
I mean,
is,
how
but it
you think like your marriage is going to last forever,
right.
and you're trapped in this never ending perpetual cycle.
Yeah.
And being a divorcee myself, I feel what you're saying. I definitely do. I was very thankful for my divorce because if I had been trapped with that person, and oh my gosh, what a terrible life that would have been.
Yeah.
And it is it's a very freeing thing. And one of my best friends at work uh recently just went through a divorce, and you can kind of tell when it hits home with that person, and they're upset because even through like the probationary periods, the separation period, there's still like that one little chance that maybe that person will stop being a fucking idiot and you can work things out.
I'm past that.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You reach a point where that won't ever matter ever again, and when the divorce is final, that I feel like is like the signifying moment where it's like, yo. So
But
yeah, and it is. You're right. There is that final moment, the last nail in the coffin, time to bury that shit, and move on. And it happens with relationships too. It's not just about marriage and divorce, but and that's the shitty thing about breakups. If you drag your breakup out, it just makes it so much worse. And I think that I've learned that enough in my life that when I know it needs to happen, I'm just going to do it. All about not wasting your own time. It's about not wasting that other person's time. And it's about identifying the factor of, hey, this just isn't going to work out. And it hurts. It does. You don't want it to hurt as bad as it does, but it does. And there's really no changing it. The longer it takes, the more it's going to hurt.
yeah, and then you're gonna build more resentment for the other person and then towards yourself because you can't be honest with yourself in the situation.
Exactly. And things are going to get said that shouldn't get said. It's just a toxic environment to be in when you know you
Mhm.
need to break up, but you're still like trying desperately to try to make it work. Or I'm so guilty of it. I'm always like, hey, if I do more, if I try harder, if I'm nicer, or whatever the case is, maybe it'll change things. But it's too late. You got to identify the time
Yeah.
when it just needs to happen. So I've learned a lot about that. But
So would
yeah,
you
so
say that you're grateful for your breakup this year?
I am. I'm very grateful for my breakup this year. I'm grateful for the other person because they have shown me what I don't want in life. They've shown me, how terrible I can be as a person through pain, and I won't ever do that again. I won't ever be that person ever again. I'm thankful for it because it has changed me so much, and only for the better. I haven't gotten any worse.
Yeah.
I don't know what else I could do to make things worse for the situation. And the funny part about it is that I am truly am happy for the experience that I had with that person. Really did show me a lot about myself mostly. And honestly, I wish them the best, and I hope it works out for them. I really do, because
Yeah.
it just and even before that, the several relationships that I've been in, I mean, I say several, but it's been quite, not very many, but the deeper relationships I'm in, or I have been in, sorry, I'm thankful for them. because they've made me into the person that I am today. The friendships that I've had have made me into the person that I am today. And I'm thankful for the friends that I don't have anymore, that are
Mhm.
out there in the world doing their own thing, that I don't get to talk to all the time. There are so many people I've had come into my life, show me how it is to be a person, or how it's, the negativity too. You got to be thankful for the people that show you how not to be. There's a lot of people out there that are just looking to use people, and I've identified them a lot easier now because I've seen it before, and I'm thankful for those people, because without them, I would still be like letting those kinds of people into my life. And they're out there living their lives, and that's really all we have. Is we got one life to live, and it's all about the journey. I find it funny. I heard a quote, it's about your birth date, the dash in the middle, and your death date, how much that dash in the middle actually signifies and what it
Yeah,
represents is your whole life. Your whole life is summed up in a dash mark if you look at it. And
crazy.
it's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy to think about all the experiences that you have and how those experiences mold you into the person that you've become. So
Mhm.
yeah, I'm very thankful. I'm very thankful for everyone. There's so many people that are like, I'm just thinking about people right now in my life that have shown me different things and have introduced me to new experiences and have shown me what it is that I don't want to be as a person. And it's just like name after name after name, and it's just like flowing. It's amazing how much life I've lived.
What is something that you can look back at yourself a year ago and say, I'm grateful for you because of?
A year ago, I mean, it's tough to think about because it's in kind of a weird place, like I mean, my old job, I used to work for Stryker Orthopedics. Around this time last year, it's just a tough time in general. It's just, I was a driver. I was, constantly working really, really hard, long hours. People are constantly trying to get their surgeries done at the end of the year and get them in before the end of the year, because a lot of people meet their deductibles, for medical expenses and stuff like that. So like a lot of it was spent in a van by myself, listening to
Hustling.
music. Yeah, and just hustling and grinding day in and day out. And back then I was just, I don't know, I felt so alone, in the holidays coming up and stuff like that. I just wanted to work really hard so I could buy the gifts and to show the people in my life at the time that they meant so much to me. I would say that part of my love language is gift giving, but at the same time, like it stresses me out so much because I want to get everybody everything they want, because I'm such a generous person, and I want people to know how much I love them and how much I care about them. And a lot of that has to go into like buying gifts, and I worked my ass off. I worked so many long hours and long days. There were days where I was like stuck in the van for 10, 12 hours, back and forth from hospital to hospital to hospital. And the entire time I'd listen to music, and I would, just kind of vibe. And I love driving. I love driving everywhere all the time. I've never hated driving. And there were points when it was just so much driving that I would get out of work, I would turn in my van, my keys to my van, I would get in my car, and I'd be like, I don't want to fucking drive home. It was just a time frame that it was just real tough for me, because I didn't want to drive anymore, but at the same time, I was like, I'm thankful for a job. I'm thankful for this, money that I'm making, because it's giving me the ability to show the people in my life how much they mean to me by buying them Christmas gifts and all that. So like I worked hard. I worked very, very hard. There was a time my ex and I went to her family's for Thanksgiving, and I was able to bring my son, and he had a great time, playing in their garage and stuff. And that was very important to me because they were so sweet to him. And that's all I've ever wanted, is people to accept my kid and to realize how much love he has to give. He's a great kid. He's a beautiful, beautiful kid. He may not be normal, but that kid is everything to me. And to see other people see that, it was really important.
Think that we need to
So
have
yeah,
a year where our kids get to meet.
I would love that so much. That'd be
Mhm.
so great.
And
Like
then we get to
maybe
meet each
me and
other's
little
kids.
Barry could drive up there. Yeah, exactly.
We just meet
That would
halfway.
be
What's
great.
halfway?
I don't know, like Oklahoma or something.
Oh my God, Texas is huge.
It is, yeah. Not thankful for that. But
Yeah.
what were you thankful for a year ago?
I think that I'm thankful for the fact that like I had such belief in myself that it overshone the doubt that came from other people and what I was capable of. Because I'm like, I can fix these things. I know that I can, get better with my finances. I can get better with the housework. I can cook more. I can, you know, be a better partner, even when the other party might not have even had a
Believed in you.
glimmer of hope. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that's incredible. But you still believed in yourself.
I
That's
showed
and
up
that's
every day.
sometimes that's what it takes, and you can't ever stop believing in yourself. The second you do that, it
You're
is
done.
game over. And that's what's crazy is, you may never there's points in my life when I didn't have a support team. I didn't have a support group of people that were there, you know, cheering me on, but I still had myself. And that's something that I've learned a lot this year, is that you will always have yourself no matter what. And
You
you
have
are
to
the
become
only
friends.
yeah, and you're the only one that knows you the way that you know you. Nobody in this world can ever learn you like you know you. And it's crazy to think, because there's a lot of people in this world that just they can't be alone with themselves, and they have to have other people constantly showing them support and constantly showing them attention. It's baffling to me how much I'm not like that. I used to be like that. I used to, I mean, everybody craves attention. Don't get me wrong. I'm not, shaming people for wanting attention, but it's really about showing yourself that attention when you can't get it from somebody else. And like, you just gotta, you find the little things that you enjoy doing and you do them. If it's read a book, or laying on the couch watching stand-up comedy, or going out for long distance runs. You got to show yourself that attention, and you have to do the things that you enjoy doing. And without it, you find yourself in a period where you might be depressed all the time, you might be sad, you might be craving other people's validation, and it's just only going to make things worse.
I
If you
think
give
that
yourself that self-love, it helps so much.
if people are uncomfortable like being with themselves, I think a lot of times it could be that they're not happy with the person that they are today, and they don't have a role model that has shown them how to fix that, and they don't have support in fixing that. So like I can
Right.
understand like numbing out and not wanting to be around yourself because you're like, well, I'm a fucking horrible person, but like what does someone do about that? I can't admit that I'm a bad person because then that's a whole can of worms that you have to deal with.
It is, yeah, and a lot of people ignore it on purpose so they don't have to deal with it. And I mean, from my experiences, it's just those kinds of people, they don't want to fix themselves because they don't see that there's anything wrong. They don't identify it. When you're that kind of person, a lot of people don't see it either, because they're like, oh, this person is super confident in their looks or their abilities or whatever it is. And, it takes genuine people to see that and be like, oh, okay, well, that person definitely doesn't like being alone. Like you could just tell sometimes. And I'm not shaming anybody by saying that. Like, if you think that you're a good person, but deep down in your heart, you're not, and you just play the facade, you put the mask on and you act like a great person, you have something wrong, and you're eventually going to realize it. You're eventually going to be like, oh wow, I really should change for the
It's just gonna
better.
get bigger.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to use people, and people aren't going to want to be your friends. You're going to start feeling empty. And I mean, not from my experience or anything, like I've always tried to be a genuine person. I've always tried to have people's back. I've always tried to be an important person in people's lives, because that's how I feel better about who I am. I
Yeah.
want to know that there's people out there that respect me. There's people out there that are like, man, Barry, that guy, he's a true one. He's a real one. He's always been there for me. He's always tried to make my life better. Or if I ever needed help, he was always there for me. That's what makes me feel like a good person. There are people out there that aren't thankful for people like us. They're not thankful for even the negativity, like you have to be able to identify the good and the bad. Without the bad, there wouldn't be good. And it's a tough thing to think about, because you don't want people to be alone, but at the same time, sometimes being alone is exactly what people need to
Mhm.
identify themselves.
I think this is a good segue into, are you a good person if you draw boundaries or lines in the sand around the holidays? Because there's a lot of shit that comes up when you say, I'm not coming, as like
Yeah.
inside of you, but then also like from external sources.
It's tough, we have to be really careful how we approach this.
Yeah.
I think the holidays, a lot of people automatically assume it's like, oh, you spend the holidays with your family because it's such a family oriented holiday, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and whatnot. And it's really, honestly, I've spent the last few years with people that I thought were my family, and they're not, So it's tough to say if I had created boundaries earlier on about that, about who I'm spending time with during that time, would it have changed anything? I'm perfectly okay with being alone for Thanksgiving. I'm perfectly okay with being alone for Christmas. Yeah, I would love to be with my son today. It would make, me so happy. Nothing would make me happier. But at the same time, I got to look at it like, well, would that be good for him? I want him to be around people that are thankful for him and that are going to show him love. So, he's with his mom and they're in Dallas with her family. And it makes me happy to know that he's surrounded by good people and that, he's going to be able to feel the love and feel the attention of such great people. So, in creating the boundary of, I don't want to expose myself to the toxicity of drama and expose myself to judgment and things like that. This is not the time for us to talk about, things that are happening that may or may not be because of why we're creating boundaries, And I feel like a lot of people use the holidays as an excuse to like, you're like, oh, well, it's Thanksgiving. You have to come over because we're family. And it's like, oh, like, I don't have to do anything. The only thing I have to do, protect myself and protect my peace. And that's really what it's about is I feel like the holidays are supposed to be a peaceful time. It's supposed to be when you're at the most peace because it's coming up on the end of the year. You have a lot to be thankful for. You have a lot of experience from the year before, and it's about being genuine to yourself and peaceful and remaining at that peace and going into the next year carrying those new experiences and the new lessons that you've learned from the previous year. I think that's what the holidays are really meant to be, is keeping your peace. What do you think?
Ladies and gentlemen, if you had any other proof that Bear and I are twins, that was just, you know, black sheeps of the family.
Holler.
It's very strange to me because I feel sometimes like I am an island. Like I am the only human in this family, I'm sure other than you, that just doesn't pretend. I'm not an actor.
I don't have
Um
time for it. That's the
I
problem.
well, at the end of the day, it's like showing up to family gatherings, going through a divorce is completely different energy, especially when many people have favorited the spouse that you are uncoupling from. So I think that it definitely ruffles feathers when I put my foot down. I'm like, I'm not energetically capable of coming to Thanksgiving and Christmas this year because I need to limit the external influences. And that means I don't want to have small talk about the weather and about my podcast. Like, let's talk about the things that we fucked up on this year and apologize for things that maybe we said or didn't say and not pretend like nothing happened because that's exactly how we've become so toxic. And I'm breaking that
Exactly.
pattern. Is it uncomfortable for my children to be like, why aren't we going there? Yeah. But also, it's showing them that just because someone expects you to do something, if it doesn't align or feel right in your body, you have to follow your gut and just say no.
Yep. I agree.
And it's
I
hard.
I mean, it is so hard. But like you said, you just, it's about not people pleasing. And I hate
Mhm.
saying that. But it's true, and
So
and I
true.
like the holidays shouldn't be about pleasing people. It should be about pleasing yourself, and the people that really matter, like our kids. Our kids are the future. We have to teach them what's right from what's wrong. And people pleasing is just not something that I think you and I are capable of doing anymore, because we've done it for so long, and all it's done is given us this grief,
And
and
resentment, so much
heartache and
resentment.
resentment. Yeah. And I'm so tired of being resentful to people.
Hmm.
I want nothing more than to be happy and to love people that deserve to be loved, and it sucks because, you have to give love to receive love a lot of times. And the worst part about it is, you give love to people that don't deserve it, and they
Yep.
don't return it. And all they do is, talk behind your back, or whatever the case. And it's like, yo, like, now is about identifying what we should do with those types of people. And it's definitely not people please. I'm sorry, but I won't be the person that looks the other way when you say, oh, we're drama free, but then you're creating drama.
Right.
I'm
And
sorry,
it's,
but it's
and then
all
when you,
about taking yourself out of that situation and out of the equation. That's where you're being healthy,
and,
mentally and emotionally healthy, because you're just not putting up with it at any point. And it
and
might
when
make
you,
them upset, but I'm sorry, but you just have to be upset at this point. I'm
well,
sorry.
because you
I'm not,
abandon
but
yourself.
yeah.
When you people please, you abandon yourself, and that's the worst thing you can do to yourself.
Exactly. And you have to create those boundaries, because without those clear boundaries, you're just going to keep falling into the same habits, the same old
Hmm.
habits of making sure everyone else is happy, but you're upset, you're sad, and you feel conflicted, and you feel awkward, and you feel resentment. And it's just, all it does is degrade yourself. So,
And like when you say, I'm not coming to this, it offends other people. Like, well, what did I do wrong? And like, what did I say to you? And like, why? But a lot of times it's not about you. It's about me. And I need to protect me. And it's like, stop making it about you. Like, just chill. Okay. That sounds
right.
probably really selfish, but like I have the selfish hat of the family and it's whatever. You have to be a little selfish though, because this is how we've gotten to where we are by not being selfish a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'll just
Exactly.
continue being the one that ruffles all the damn feathers.
I don't
Um,
think it's selfish. I think it's being self-aware. You're
mhm,
being
yeah,
self-aware, because we have a tendency of letting people walk all over us to not hurt their feelings, because
yeah,
we don't want to be confrontational. You and I both, we're very similar in that regard. But if we're not confrontational and we don't set the boundaries, then the only person that's getting hurt and is only aware of us being hurt is us. I'm sorry, but I'm just not here for that anymore. I'm not
mm-mm.
here to put myself through heartache just so it saves somebody else, unless it's my son, unless it's our kids, and that's another thing too. It's like, kids can feel energy.
Oh yes,
They may not be emotionally mature enough, or just not mature enough in general to know why it's happening, but they're gonna know.
they can't name
They're
it.
gonna feel it. Yeah, they're gonna
Yeah,
ask too. They're gonna ask later. They're gonna be like, why were you so awkward? Why was it awkward? Or, they might not say awkward, but they might be like, well, why was it weird that, you seemed upset? And it's like, you either have a choice. You can tell them the truth, or you can lie to them. And,
yeah,
I'm not in the business of lying to people, especially not kids. And I don't want to have to be put in a situation where I tell them, oh, the reason why it was like this was because of all this stuff that happened. And we haven't had a chance to talk about that, and to discuss it in a healthy manner. So, like, it just kind of happens. And it's just not a good time for that. I feel like the holidays it's not a good time to, open up those wounds, or those discrepancies you have with your family and your friends. And I think it's a great time to just keep your peace, and to create those boundaries. And if that's how it has to happen, then at least it's happening in a healthy manner other than an unhealthy manner. So,
yeah. I definitely like. I don't feel like my boundaries are my kids' business. but there's been multiple times this year where it's become their business, and now they're like in the mix of like, well, why don't you speak to this person? And like, why can't we go there? And I'm like, even for the holiday, well, it's going to be a lot of fun because, so and so is going to be there. And I'm like, yeah, but also I'm not ready to go to somewhere that I haven't resolved something with someone that's going to be there. It's going to make me
Right.
really uncomfortable, and then I'm not going to have a good time. And it's not fair to anyone else for me to show up as, not my authentic self. So
Exactly.
I can't, it doesn't feel right to me. And we need to listen to our bodies. And next year will be better. Next year will be different. Maybe we'll go on a fucking holiday next year. Oh my God, I can't wait. Just
That would be
like
great.
go on vacation, make that a thing. I want to travel
Sounds like
more.
more fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
So yeah, creating boundaries is so important, and setting those boundaries, especially when you have kids, because they're seeing that and they're like, okay, well, when I'm an adult, I have to do the same thing. I'm not going to be
as a kid too, though.
the people pleasing. Well, yeah, as a kid, it's important because like they just want to have fun. Kids are just wanting to have fun,
Yeah. And if they're
and when
going
you take that
to,
away from them, yeah, or put them in a bad situation, how much fun are they having?
there was a
Because
boundary
you
I
can have
had to
fun
set.
without your family. No offense, family,
Oh,
but
yes, yes, we can. That's very true. But there was a boundary that I had to set with my son because every time he was around a certain family member, they would like insist on giving him a hug. This was like a year and ago, I think. Year and a half ago. And not everyone likes that, So it's like if he hasn't said it's okay to give him a hug, like, can we just ask him first,
yeah,
And, there was a time when COVID was happening and all of that, and we masked, which is a choice, and my kids were going to school and all that. But this one person would just consistently pull his mask down, like for photos and stuff. I'm like, did you even ask him if he was okay with that? Like, this is his body, and it's not your decision to be making. Forcing a hug onto someone seems innocent because, oh, your family, like, give me a hug. And like, but it's not that simple. And so I had to have a discussion with my son. I was like, are you okay with this person giving you a hug all the time? And he was like, well, no. I'm like, then why did you hug this person? Well, because I knew it would make her happy. And I was like, but you're already self-abandoning at 5 years old. Doesn't matter what you want. You're doing it because the other person expects it from you and because the
yeah.
other person will be happy when you do it. And I'm like, you can't do that. You have to
He's
just say
literally
no.
making himself uncomfortable to make somebody else happy, and that
Yeah.
is so terrible to do for such a young age because it's hurting him. It's creating trauma in his life
And it's such a
that he's going
simple
to carry
thing
with him. Yeah.
that people are like, oh, you had a great childhood. Nothing was traumatic, but it's in the little ways every day that we choose to abandon what is true for us. And so now I'm like, you need to ask him, like, would you like to give me a fist bump? Do you want to give me a high five? Are you okay for a hug today? Because he needs to be able to self-advocate. And so do we as adults. It's like, how are we always abandoning what we really feel is right to please someone else?
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
I know. And it set me off.
Ooh, jeez. And it's the same thing like the last time we recorded. You asked him, "Hey, do you want to come say hi to Uncle Barry?" And he said no,
Yeah.
and like, it doesn't hurt my feelings. But then, at by the end of the episode, he was sitting in your lap showing me everything. It's all about letting the kids make the moves that they're comfortable and when they're
Mhm.
comfortable. You can't force kids into doing things, man, because like it just teaches them that they have to do it because the adult said so, or my family member said so, or oh, it'll make them happy. And we're just creating little people pleasers, and it's
Yep.
not okay for them. It's not okay. And it's up to us as the adults, as the parents, to identify that. And in our lives, I wish that I wasn't such a people pleaser when I was a kid, because dad, growing up, when he made me do a lot of things that I felt uncomfortable doing, and yeah, he was trying to instill discipline and create that type of, I guess, mentality in me that, like sometimes you just have to do things that are uncomfortable. And don't get me wrong, I'm thankful for it. But like at the same time, I feel like my people pleasing attitude came from my childhood. I was always trying to seek recognition in other people and validation. And honestly, that's dumb because you are enough as a person just for yourself. You should be making yourself happy, not other people. And that's really what it boils down to, is
And
that
it kind
it's
of
constantly a problem.
it follows us, right? So it's like not only do you learn at a young age that your voice doesn't matter because your elders' opinions are more important to you, but then you follow it
Right.
into, teenage years and we grew up with the internet boom and all of that. And it's like, how can we seek validation? We people please by, making things sexual, by flirting with people and getting attention, getting a validation that we, crave. But, to like prove like my body is worthy, my voice is worthy. But then we just abandon
Right.
ourselves in so many ways. And it's like, it's just so bad. And we need to be more aware of it all.
Absolutely. I agree.
We covered a lot today. Is there anything else
We
you want
did.
to add?
No, I think it was a good episode. I think that I feel like a lot of people might be able to relate, whether they're parents or not, or just in themselves and their childhood. You got to look back and you got to think about the good and the bad influences you've had in your life. And what you have to be thankful for both. Because
Hmm.
without both of them, like, I mean, if you only had positive role models in your life and you only had positivity, I mean, I'm sorry, but if you don't know struggle, then you don't know what life's really about,
Hmm.
and as somebody who's struggled a lot in my life and have seen some real hardships, I'm also, very humble because I know that there are people out there that have struggled a lot harder. They've had it a lot worse. And it makes me thankful for how great I've had it, and all the positive thing.
Yeah.
I'm not perfect, but at the same time, I have so much to be thankful for.
I guess my last takeaway would be what's more important to you, or what would you like to be more important to you? Other people's perception of you or your true inner peace? Because the more
Ugh,
we try to change someone else's perception of us by saying yes to things, by, overextending ourselves by showing up to 5 different fucking functions for one holiday, the more we get mad at ourselves. So
yeah.
just be gentle. And who the fuck cares if people get mad?
And here's the thing about it, Katie, that I've learned. Your true inner peace is going to create such a positive perception that those people are actually going to be happier for you for. Like,
Are they
yeah, you
though?
can, I mean,
Oh yeah,
the
that's
real
true.
ones, yes. The people that matter are going to be like, "Oh man, look at how beautiful this person is because of how happy they are now." And that's what's funny to me. It's like you can fake happiness all you want, but the people that matter are going to see that you're not happy. They're going to be
Yeah,
like, "Okay, you're just fronting, and that doesn't make me happy." If they're real, they're going to be like, "Yo, dude, like what are you doing? You're a
right?
mess, you don't look good, you don't look happy." And showing up to those kinds of events, not like you said, not in your true self, people are going to see that and they're going to be like, they're going to think negatively of you. They're
Mhm.
not going to think positive, so like you really do have to make yourself happy. Your inner peace is so much more important than pretending to be happy for people that don't even fucking care about you. Sorry,
Yeah.
but it's the truth, and if they did care, they would much rather you show up in your piece. So
When you're ready.
yeah, when you're ready.
Mhm.
And it takes those hard talks and those hard conversations, confrontational bullshit for you to achieve that happiness, and you have to do it. But the holidays is just not the time. The
No.
time to be thankful for what you have, and the inner peace and the right people, the people that matter. That's what the holidays are meant for, in my opinion, in this man's humble opinion.
Thanks for joining me on Thanksgiving. Is this the first Thanksgiving we've spent together? It might be.
I think so.
It's
I've always
Christmas, we
tried to
do.
make a habit of reaching out to you and texting you or calling you, but
Yeah.
It's the first time we've ever like spent face to face,
Yeah.
like as much as it is face to face.
1 year. 1 year we'll do it.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for listening, everyone. I hope that you had a great Thanksgiving. If you are watching us on YouTube, you best hit that subscribe button or click the thumbs up, okay? Also, if you didn't know we're on YouTube, we do air these so you see our facial expressions and
I
the
think
side
most of
eyes.
our listeners are on like Spotify or Amazon Music, Apple
Yeah.
Music, but yeah, guys, if you want to watch us and watch our facial expressions, don't forget YouTube's there. We don't have any ads. I don't think
Mhm.
our episodes are long enough to
Well,
have ads. So.
if they don't have YouTube Premium, they're gonna get ads no matter what.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I have
Yeah.
YouTube Premium. That's why.
Yeah.
Well,
Same.
sorry,
Same.
y'all. But either
It's
way,
okay.
if you want to see us and see the interactions, we're here. YouTube's
Yeah.
great.
And we got to plan the next Patreon hangout, probably in January, I think.
Yeah, I think January would be a better time after the holidays and stuff for everyone. But
Thanks for listening,
anyway, yeah,
everyone.
thanks for listening, guys. Happy Thanksgiving. We
Happy
love you. Thank
Thanksgiving.
you so much for all the support and feedback. And
We'll see you next
see
week.
ya.